Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
Yeah. Yeah. T. First na mon kamasem. Fisena mi nibi. And the cash abanti, mobile fame Illuminati. Sorry, man, you're lucky. On my way to Grammy, I could join the group who ain't coming pushy Bugatti. Yes, me, I think it's funny because I keep on making money. Trading upon the blessings reflected, it's a tsunami. Yes. DJ Mensa, Kesley Giovanni. Nyankopon said my mission, keep walking through the valley. You believe in juju, I believe in power. Christopher, I'm down to Nyame, Mujidi mo hasasawa. Nyame came heaven, I don't have to give up. Mwamu say me di ne mu ne vim, you better speak up. Me swag, me chemistry, me flow, your legendary. And fan home compare Sarkodie, cause I'm the best you've ever seen. Me style, especially me hustle, me courtesy. My brain me moje ni my hustle. I feel mo see me Illuminati, naughty. I feel that most of Sarkodie where you Illuminati, naughty. The phone better. Illuminati. Beat in a second. Yeah. I think it's controversial. Bailey's a for contacting me. I'm up a commercial. $500,000. For me, never. I feel them at double up. Next time, better. The Lord is still my shepherd. Upon GB in the crossing. Move really send me speedy up. Still me who is a trotting. Some forcing. You better do the talking. Moment you your cash I hear me spend it just on shopping. Me amazing crank, I mean you're free. I swear I lie. Me Illuminati, come in June got na Hawaii. Nyanko pone makochem, me friend and daddy. Into damn me praise Jesus, still I was see me Illuminati, naughty. I feel that was a Sarkodie where you Illuminati, naughty.
Citi Breakfast Show. Let's summarize for you the three most important things you need to know about the IMF deal. The first one are the 5 prior actions. Godfrey, I'm sure you know these already. The first one is the weighted tariff. So the 30% and the 18% you paid is IMF matter. Jet Fund, Road Fund, District Assembly Common Fund have to report provisional spending budgets in what they call a Hyperion at a disaggregated level. It's also happened. MOU has been signed between Ministry of Finance and BOG to eliminate monetary financing of the central bank has happened. Legislation that will make it important to achieve the 2023 fiscal objectives has been signed into law. Published the Auditor General's report on audit of COVID-19. That has been done. So all of those prior actions have been taken. And then there are lots of numbers that we have to meet. This degree, 90 days, all of that in there. And then about 10 structural benchmarks, which are really not in English, because when I mention it, you won't be understand it. Listen to one. Finalize the comprehensive stock take of payables accumulated by all MDAs. Design a payable clearance plan and lay out a structural reform plan to reduce future accumulation of arrears. Charlie, I don't even know what that means. Finalize strategy to strengthen the financial sector and rebuild financial institution buffers. Publish the updated energy sector recovery plan. Publish a strategy after cabinet approval to streamline statutory funds. The strategy should include 5 key areas. Publish a medium-term revenue strategy approved by cabinet. Approve plans of all banks negotiated during the previous quarter to rebuild capital buffers and initiate corrective actions on institutions whose plans are not deemed credible. Introduce an indexation mechanism of the benefits under the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty. Operationalize the integrated tax administrative system by completing 7 things. Expand GIFMIS infrastructure to 265 IGF reliant institutions with all the available functionality. So these are huge words. Those are the things we say we'll do. Yeah, so we say we'll do them for the next 3 years.
Yes.
So that's the IMF. I hope you understood what I just read.
Yes. Oh, I'm perfectly clear.
I didn't understand the thing I read myself.
But can I engage you?
Oh, talk to me.
Can I engage you on this?
I'm here, Clara. You can talk to me.
So, I read Ghana's request to the IMF.
Yeah.
And then this one that you just read, which is the IMF's response, basically in terms of what they are going to do.
Yeah.
Right. And then Ghana's request outlines the problems Ghana is in and what they sought to do. I look at it, and the first question I want to ask you is, why, if you read the entire document, Ghana's request, it explains quite honestly a lot of the problems we have gone through.
Yeah.
but yet this same group of persons who administer the country almost always publicly deny some of these things. How are they able to present one set of truths, even to us via Parliament? And when you read the IMF document, it looks pretty different, unless I misread it.
Is it the letter you are referring to?
Yes, the full, if you read Ghana's request,
Yeah.
the May 17 one.
What does the letter say?
Request for an arrangement under the Extended Credit Facility press release, staff report and statements by the Executive Director for Ghana. And then it goes on to talk about...
Have you seen the letter of intent? There's
Yes.
a letter of intent in the document. You're right, the letter of intent admits the challenges.
Yes, so...
But the letter of intent is sort of using the external challenges to say that's what has worsened our position. It's the IMF who then, in their executive summary, then said these external challenges only sought to exacerbate pre-existing conditions. So it's like two sides of the coin. The government says, well, we've been hit by COVID and we've been hit by Russia, Ukraine. And the IMF says, yes, we've been hit by those two, but the thing that hit you only exposed that you were not strong before it hit you.
Okay. My second question for you. I pointed fingers at the Bank of Ghana yesterday.
Yes.
We didn't discuss it, but today you've given me a bit of time. When I go through both documents, I am not. I am quite worried by what looks like a very weak Bank of Ghana in its interaction with the executive in administering the economy. What has been your take on the Bank of Ghana's role when you look at the documents and also look at what has been put in place by the IMF, for instance, in saying this is what needs to be done at the BOG?
You know, the truth is that the way our country has been structured, and there's something called fiscal dominance, which happens a lot, where the fiscal side of the economy tends to do things that drives inflation up, and the monetary policy is passive, right? And as I said, a lot of the inflation you have is driven by the fiscal side, right? A lot of the borrowing is really the government looking for money to do things on the fiscal side, and the governor and his team, the toolbox they have is limited to, or at least the way they interpret the toolbox they have is basically limited to interest rate level adjustments through their policy rate. So they've been passive in that sense. And then when the COVID problem came, then they went beyond the limit and gave the government a bit more money, and they cited the fact that there was a national emergency. This was if they didn't do that, the country would collapse. And so therefore the IMF is now saying they should sign an agreement for the next 3 years that they won't give the government any money. All right. I'll answer this in two ways. When I was a young journalist, I listened to Paul Akwa talking about being governor. He was one of the most respected Ghanaians in the IMF. And Paul Akwa used to say that for him, central bank independence meant central bank independence. And he knew that some of the things he did, the executives may not be very happy with him. The fiscal side may not be happy with him. And I recall him saying some program informally that there were days that sometimes they take a decision and they have to jet off to another country just to go for another conference to avoid all the unnecessary phone calls, because the way he saw central bank independence was the way it's supposed to be. But yesterday when I interviewed the head of civil service, I didn't ask him a direct question, but when I listened to him carefully, he made a point. It looks like, in the 30 years of our Fourth Republic, administrations have become more dominant, even he was talking about the relationship between chief directors and technical directors, technical assistants. So like you have a well-trained guy in the Ministry of Energy, but the Minister of Energy will come with his technical advisor. You have a well-trained journalist who's running communication at Ministry of Education, but the minister will bring his own technical guy. So the point he made, not in as many words, was that in this Fourth Republic, we've seen governments increasingly not break the law, but basically push convention to its limits. They do things their way, right? So appointing technical directors is not wrong, but somehow it can interfere with the work of a chief director. And I'm using that to say that we've seen the role of governor become more intricately intertwined with the way the executive wants to work. And the relationship between the monetary authorities and the fiscal authorities, the line is not that clear anymore. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So it is a sign of the political times we are in that if you are the governor whose policy choices were seen to be going to affect the objectives of the finance ministry and, for that matter, the fiscal side of the executive, he may be pushed out. Or he may have issues with the executive because he doesn't have the luxury of a lot of interviews or press conferences. He just does MPC. He's not a member of parliament. And I'm talking about this governor. I'm talking about the governor. The position is not. He is not. I don't like the appointment of finance ministry. The reason the finance ministry and the president is very close. It's actually the first most important appointment. So the governor in this Fourth Republic is increasingly being seen as some appendage to the
finance minister,
the financials, the fiscal system. I have to be very careful here. All right, because I know the professional who runs the institution is a high-level professional, and when you listen to him speak on international platforms, he understands the economy very well. But he's been forced by the type of politics we do here to take decisions that I'm sure if you ask his officials, they will not be very proud of. But they can also come out in the open and condemn the fiscal side. But we know that it's fiscal, you can call it populism, that has led us here. From free SHS to all the things we've said we'll do, and the borrowing that has gone through the roof, with some of it the governor has also, the Bank of Ghana supported. So what I'm trying to say is that the politics of economic management has increasingly politicized even the role of the monetary authorities. So they try to maintain the conservative way in which they do their work, but it's increasingly difficult. That's point one. Point two, there's also a view that generally fiscal authority, monetary authorities in Africa, Ghana not being an exception, are playing it too safe, still doing inflation targeting when they should do other things. Okay, but that's a discussion that can be had among economists around what we should do. Like the point I made about why do you keep using your dollar reserves to give people to buy rice? That's why they said don't even give you money to import certain things. So they have to be a bit more forthright. So if you look at Nigeria, their rice project was championed by the governor because they said, look, we cannot keep using scarce dollar reserves to be importing rice when we need dollars to buy things that we think we don't have here. So they are more forthright and they are more proactive in a sense. Ours are seen to be more reactionary because the fiscal side is stronger. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I don't want us to personalize it and say, this governor. What we need to look at is that it's a trend. What happens to the NDC MPP is that when one opposition person sees that this person did this and got away with it, when they come, they do it worse. That's what tends to happen. So there were some days that you couldn't even bring BOG into public discourse like this. But right now, it's become easier because of the kind of politics we run, the political economy. So I think that the reflections of the people running the monetary system would be different in public than in private. That if you met them at, say, a closed-door session at the AFDB, and you ask them what is happening in Ghana, they will obviously tell you that the fiscal side is too powerful, and we are limited in what we can do. But when you go to MPC and Toma Emi here ask that question, you can't say that. Because when he says that, a junior communication person in one constituency will start insulting him on the radio. And he doesn't have the political organization to go and tackle that. So he would rather just do his economics and keep quiet. But when he meets IMF people in a room and they ask him, he will say, he will open the cards and say, this is why we have, which is why they signed the MOU. Because if he doesn't have that protection, he will do what the fiscal people want.
And just
Please, I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, and just to elaborate on some of the things that you are talking about. So, for instance, the BOG Act is going to be revised to strengthen central bank independence and mitigate fiscal dominance. The amendments to the Act will feature a stricter limit for monetary financing, mechanisms to monitor and enforce compliance, and a clear definition of emergency situations under which the limits can be temporarily lifted. Pending legislative changes, the BOJ and the Ministry of Finance signed an MOU, which is a prior action, to eliminate monetary financing during the program. An ongoing updated safeguards assessment will provide additional support for designing changes to the BOG Act. It will review the authority's gold purchase and gold for oil program and associated risk for the BOG. The BOG's balance sheet will be affected by the debt restructuring. The government and the BOG will assess the impact and develop plans for its recapitalization. So, Bernard, I hear you. Okay.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that what you are saying is weak. I feel like it's not fair because it's a complicated situation. And so in a sense,
but the task that is given to to both the fiscal and the monetary side, right, is to ensure a certain level of protection for the economy, right? So if that is not done, and the explanation for it is, well, there are stronger powers at play than who can weigh on the decisions that are supposed to be made for the benefit of the entire economy. I struggle with that.
What I'm saying. You see, there are two things. In advanced economies, what our governor has done is normal. That's why I said that 2 days ago. I said to you that in the world, right, is socialism for the rich, capitalism for the poor. Okay. In economics, we say it's Keynesianism for the wealthy countries, monetarism for the poor. What I'm saying is that in advanced countries who are monetarily sovereign, they will use their own. They will print money to do what they have to do, because they are not exposed to other currencies. And I'm saying that we are not monetarily sovereign. So now we have people who are sitting at our BOG to make sure that our governor doesn't do what governors in advanced countries will easily do. During the COVID, listen to German finance minister.
Yes.
He said nobody should come and talk to him about deficits.
Yes.
Didn't you attend the same economic schools? Why? Because their economy is export driven, and they don't have an exposure to another currency like
we'd have here.
But go to the poorer pigs, Portugal, Italy, Spain, and Greece. They've sold their monetary sovereignty by joining the EU. Right? Now, monetary sovereignty is a continuum. A country that can have a floating exchange rate, that can tax its own citizens, should be able to limit its susceptibility to another currency by reducing debt in a foreign currency. And I'm saying that the whole game in Ghana makes the dollar the center of our economic life, which we don't control. So as soon as Janet Yellen raises her interest rates, all the investors here who are speculative anyway, they are coming here because we have probably weaker rules and we have higher returns for them. When higher returns show their face in America, they'll leave us. Then the whole thing crumbles. Okay. So what I'm saying is that what they've done is not necessarily unethical, but it's because our economy history makes what they've done inimical in the short term.
Okay. Now, my final question to you, so that I think Sky also has a couple of things that he wants to deal with. If you look at all the solutions that have been proffered and some of the reforms, and it's heavily littered with reform. If you look at the IMF documents, structural reform, so they call it, as to whether that is how to end up, we leave it to you, the economists, to figure out. But we are looking at restructuring it at a certain level with the SOEs. They're not very happy with how SOEs are run. They're not happy with the BOG. They are not happy with our social welfare expenditure. So they talk about free senior high school and all those things. Is this a good deal?
That's a multi-million-dollar question. For me, okay.
After 3 years, if we're able to complete 70% of these things that they said we should do, because the reason I'm pegging at 70%, I read most of these things, and I'm reading the 2015 one that we did.
You see, this is what I was
baseline. It looks the same.
Yeah. You see, the reason I'm not happy with this deal is that it's like all the previous deals. It's not going to solve our problems in the long term. That's number one. Number two, they have front-loaded our pain. All right? They've increased their tariffs. They've increased taxes in a high inflation environment. They've given us haircuts. They've appropriated our investments in their debt exchange program. So all our savings have been taken over by the government. Meanwhile, government is an inefficient allocator of resources. They've taken our money to solve a problem that they created, and the IMF has endorsed that. So it cannot be a good deal. Number two, there's no guarantee that they will learn from this. Do you get me? There's no guarantee that they will learn from this. So how is this a good deal for me? We have worked ourselves into a box. So we needed some help from the IMF. We'll get 3 billion. We'll dispense it to whatever they want us to dispense it. I suspect as soon as our international credit ratings start going up, we'll go back to the market and borrow more. Further worsening where we are. In the past 20 years, we've moved away from non-concessionary loans from concessionary loans to highly non-concessionary loans. So from soft loans to hard loans, from blue to red. You understand? We've also increased the domestic component of our debts, which is also bringing systemic risk. And then we've started dallying with China more. So now to even get us a creditor committee is more complicated. We've worked ourselves into an almost impossible situation. And to make matters worse, we've had a very, I want a word that will not be seen as arrogant, like a very, how do you say it in English?
Recalcitrant or obstinate.
It's not your words, not mine. Government,
Stubborn.
National Cathedral, free SHS, school feeding, all these big, grandiose things that you have not even properly reviewed to know if they are value for money.
And now you are being forced.
IMF is telling you that free SHS is not well targeted. Everybody said it. Everybody said it. Do you think IMF is going to tell you? Is there anything IMF is telling us to do? Go and take the document that the bondholders signed with some architect and compare it side by side with the structural benchmarks. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So you've just gone to take soft loan from IMF for 3 billion, because the 3 billion there, you will pay it, but it's softer than to take it from some other person. But that's all you've done. So me, I'm not very optimistic. I'm not very, very optimistic. I feel like you will get some temporary relief from the market because you've worked yourself into a corner that the market now is holding your kahunis. So they will start, your inflation will reduce, your exchange rate will stabilize, CD will strengthen, the ratings game will go up a bit. Then you'll go back to everybody and go and borrow 1 billion. And then that 1 billion will continue that cycle to prop up the CD. So I'm not seeing any radical thinking I would say beyond the IMF, we are going to do this or that, which is why I feel I don't even want to say it's a bad deal or a good deal. It's what we do with it.
So for you, it's not what it does; it's the lessons we learn.
Because if your policies are all, if you are going to keep dollarizing your economy, you're going to keep importing food, you are going to import everything. You are just going to go back into the same problem. So it's a cycle that you are just part of. It just happens that sometimes you are on the trough, sometimes you're on the peak. So when you're on the peak, you boast. When you're on the trough, you blame external people, but you are still going around in circles. So so things will improve from now. And that improvement will give politicians impetus to campaign.
Oh yeah.
Then whoever wins the 2024 elections, so this is my prediction. Things will improve, at least for the government side, not for you. Things will not improve for you.
I know I'm going to suffer.
Things will improve for the government till like maybe they finish the election.
To do propaganda.
So they'll use the benefits of the deal to campaign. And NDC2 will say that no, things are bad because you are suffering. But the government is getting some money, so they'll splurge on some road here. They'll go and fix the road I spoke about today. Then they'll speak some things. Then they'll campaign. Then whoever wins will say, we have to accept reality, that things are bad. Then they'll start a new program of austerity. So it's, the optimism is not there. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. Sorry, it's early in the morning. I don't want to. And then to make matters worse, Sky's article about the Kumewu also points to a country that is not prepared to learn. Number one.
So?
See,
what's this guy
you are
saying?
a country with scarce resources. You have a big corruption problem. You have too many members of parliament for a country of your size. You have another 200 and something MMDC, so together over 500. Okay. Some of them don't even have properly defined job description. You have 18 months to an election. Somebody has died. The person has an overwhelming mandate for the MPP, from the MPP. We know that this seat is not a swing seat. It's an MPP-dominated area. based on historical record. Yet you close your eyes to all of this and you say you are going to do a by-election, which have been the most violent, or by-elections from Wulensi to Ayawaso West Wagon. Every by-election is violent because the brinkmanship. Look at MPP. Nanado says they should win Kumewu because they want to show that they are strong, and that is going to point a signal to what they will do in 2024. Mama too went there, that they will pull a surprise in Kumewu to show that they are strong in 2024. So the battle lines are drawn. So it's not about who wins Kumewu for representing Kumewu. It's about
what it
means. A proxy war for 2024, for psychological advantage in 2024. Same way as I also going. We can't let some people win because it look like we are weak in our first term. So let's do all the machinations we can so that we win the election, so that we are strong on the ground. All right? Then, because of that, you go and do roads for them. You do all the things. Then you give them money so that all the people will vote for you. So you have too many MPs and MMDCs together. You are thinking of creating more. You are in an IMF program. You've taken people's debt exchange money. People's haircut have been taken. Yet you have money to go and splurge on people. And you are going to do the same throughout the whole process of primaries to select people who come and mismanage you anyway. So you are going to do all this. Meanwhile, common sense can tell you that how many months you have to an election?
It's not too far away. 18.
The party that won, can they appoint an interim somebody? And this is Sky's argument. We know, it's not like the law was made for man made for the law thing. You know that MPP won a clear election. The person has died. Can the party come with an arrangement to have an interim person to run the affairs of the thing? But no, we want to do election because election, that's where Sikano. Then you come and tell me that we should share burden. Right? You can't tell me that I should share burden. Me, my money has been reduced at where I saved it. I haven't finished paying all my fees. Then you go and give money to people to go and vote. And you do the same for presidential and parliamentary primaries, spending millions of cedis. Then you come around and tell me that we should learn to share burden. What do you think I wash my face upwards? Go and see what they will do at Kumewu.
They have done. Not do.
Do you get me? So they bribe voters with. Somebody said he doesn't understand why in the world, in most countries, people will beg you to vote for them. But in Africa, people will give you money to vote for them. Somebody sent me a message. Primaries for NDC. You are in opposition. You are giving somebody money to vote for a president, an MP for you. Think about it. You are suffering in opposition. And you say you want a change in government. But they have to give you money as a delegate to vote. And you said you saw it. So it means that we are not ready to develop. We are just joking. Because if the president gives you 1,500, you vote to become your MP. If you see him twice a year, is it his fault? Do you get it? So now, today, election in Kwan, then when we finish, we'll go to Asin North. Jachikwesi 2. We will do by-election and fight there too. Peace Council has already issued a statement in Kumasi that they shouldn't do
anything there.
So you see what I'm saying? So if you put the Sky's argument is basically like, look, a country of our size, this luxury of plenty by elections, we cannot afford it. And we can wriggle our way out of the legal conundrum if we want to, because there are a lot of examples, but we don't have the appetite to do it. We want to do what we want to do because there's an election economy that we all benefit from. So we don't want to change it. Because this is covered parliament for 20 years. They've traveled to many countries. And we know our leadership in parliament, they are very intelligent. They know what happens elsewhere. When they wanted us to vote for DCs, they did the research and told us that in fact, they did the research and told us of all the countries in the world, only Ghana and some 3 countries don't vote for MMDCs by popular universal adult suffrage. That everywhere else, they vote for the MDC. Okay, does everywhere else do the by-election we do? That one, they don't research it. Because it doesn't favor them. You see where we are going? So, we need to get serious. And you see, this by-election thing, if you do violence and by-elections and you run it against regular elections, by-elections are far ahead in violence. Mm-hmm. Not because the places are violent places. I also was Oregon before 2020. It wasn't anything. Wulensi, it wasn't. And he covered the by-election. Akwetia, was it? They almost killed him there. This guy, Akwetia, they almost killed this guy because of by. So he said he never go by-election again. So he will report it from parliament because he doesn't want to die because he has kids. Mm. So I think that Godfred, the civil society, media, and right-thinking people need to start. And I think a private member's bill can work here to say, look, on economy, on reason, on everything. Sky, I hope I paraphrase you well. That's what Sky wrote in his article. So those two articles are, and it's the same equation. I'm coming from the economic side and asking for a shift, a shift in structural thinking. It's asking for the same thing in our politics, right? 2024 elections will be difficult for even the people covering it. You know, as we speak, it's 18 months. We are going to do campaign, politics, recycling empty promises. Things that we are supposed to do, I will know. We have to put in a manifesto. It's not correct. So please get Sky's article and read as well. And then, I don't know, Sky, I thought...
I wanted to ask Sky.
Yeah, ask him. I've taken over.
Sky, we run a democracy.
Yeah.
The Constitution says A, B, C, D. So, I guess basic question. An election took place amongst a group of competing interests, aka political parties, independent candidates, to vote for an MP in a constituency. The MP, unfortunately, tragically passes away. Your position on the matter is that it costs too much. There could be. It's too violent. That opens the avenue for corruption. So the party that retains that seat, that holds the seat already, should continue. And the democratic right of the community to change their mind probably is taken away from them. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, so I addressed that specific issue in the article, and I will urge people to read the article because it's quite comprehensive and deals with many of the arguments that often are made against what will ordinarily be a proposal to deal with a problem. Because as Bernard stated, I mean, throughout the history of the Fourth Republican Constitution, we've seen, violence, we've seen the use of bentua, we've seen the sharing of rice, we've seen all kinds of things. Cement blocks cement bags are shared and all of that, just so people will vote for a particular candidate in an election, especially during by-elections. And one of the arguments I made was that just recently, we were talking about feeding school children who are beneficiaries of the school feeding program. The retort we've had from government or the pushback is that, oh look, we don't have money. So the caterers who were protesting, they should get lost, basically. Yet a by-election is coming up, and all of a sudden, roads are coming up, development projects are happening in the constituency, even as we had said that we did not have money to run many things in this country. National Health Insurance Scheme is suffering. So if you look at it, it does seem that by-elections create a certain appetite for government to go into an overdrive. And it has always been the case, NDC, NPP. None of the parties can say that they've not done it before. Now, what is the issue? It is because the Constitution says somewhere in Article 125 of the Constitution that when a member of parliament dies, a city member of parliament dies, the answer to replacing him is to go for what? A by-election to him, elect a replacement. But the Constitution also recognizes that in some cases, where, for instance, about 3 months or so, they're about to an election, there's no requirement for an election to replace the dead member of parliament. Just go on with the process. Let the seat be vacant. And then, during the national elections proper, you get a replacement for the member of parliament. My argument is the language of the Constitution under Article 1125 can be amended. And I identified a number of options that can be used. And with your permission, let me just go quickly to the 4 options that I actually identified to deal with the problem. So if you go to, the paragraph 21 of the article, I said that in our pursuit for a more progressive political landscape, it is imperative to explore alternative methods for replacing a deceased or resigned member of parliament. 4 options used elsewhere in the world present themselves as viable alternatives, each with its own merits. Now, the first one is appointment. So here, I'm arguing that granting the political party to which the departed or resigned MP belonged the authority to appoint a successor based on party rules and internal processes and it bypasses the need for a by-election. The other, which is used, is the runner-up, system. Now here, if the election results reveal a clear runner-up candidate who narrowly missed securing the seat in the last election, providing them with the opportunity to fill the vacancy becomes a compelling choice. Then the third one talks about a party list, which is often used in South Africa, and then also together with the first one, which is the the appointment system. Now, the party list says that in countries using a proportional representation system, political parties maintain predetermined lists of candidates. So when a candidate on the list passes away or resigns, the next eligible candidate on the party's list assumes the role as the rightful replacement. And then the final one is the co-option. So here, you appoint a person who is already a member of parliament.
As like an acting.
Exactly. To hold the fort until a national election is held. Yeah. Although the MP is not from that area, you can appoint the person, it is done in other jurisdictions, to hold the fort until an election.
Can we get the DC to act?
Exactly. So my argument is that if you look at all the four options that I mentioned, the appointment one would seem to be the one that appeals to me, because I take the view that, look, we already know, as Bernard stated, Kumewu is a diehard, MPP constituency. The NDC has never won it. It's
not even close.
It is not close. And I said that, look, it is possible for impossible things to happen in politics. But it is unlikely that the NDC will win it. But the stakes are really high. Because if the NDC wins it and goes on to win in Asin North, the balance of power in in parliament will change. Because as we speak, the MPP maintains a narrow lead over the NDC. One seat brought in by an independent member of parliament. So if the NDC wins in Kumewu, goes on to win in Asin North, we have an MPP minority and an NDC majority. So they will do everything possible to win it. Of course, the MPP currently faces two independent members of parliament candidates in the race. And these are people from within the MPP. So if for some reason the people think that, let's give it to NDC, then there is trouble. So I'm saying that instead of continuing this culture where it is possible for you to hold by elections as opposed to appointing, let us just go straight. Amend the provisions of the Constitution to cure the mischief.
Let me ask you a question there. Do you not think that this is even more important the closer we are to a national election? So assuming the MP got deceased in 2021, you could say it's 3 years. So a by-election would make sense. But you have a by-election, you have a main election next year. So you could also say, you can split that provision and say, if the position becomes vacant, maybe 15 months to a national election. Or a year. Do you understand? You then do what you say. But if it happens early in the term, then you could go for by-election. As an additional point.
It's fair. You see, that's why democracy encourages debate. So that people will think through the problem that we are discussing and the solutions being proposed, and then find a way of curing the mischief. You understand? That's also one way of looking at it. So then when it goes for an amendment, the process can be refined to make it such, an appealing, solution to the problem. What did I say? I said that, briefly, Bernard, if you would indulge me. So in paragraph 23 of the article, I said that in the light of these considerations, a thoughtful amendment to Article 112 Clause 5 of Ghana's Constitution is hereby proposed. The refined wording would read as follows. Upon the occurrence of a vacancy in Parliament, the Clerk to Parliament shall expeditiously notify the Electoral Commission in writing within 7 days, and the political party under whose banner the deceased or resigned MP served shall diligently appoint a successor within 30 days. That is, the 30 days is just to allow for proper, mourning of the dead and all of that. And then in paragraph 24, which is also to deal with a situation where the sitting member of parliament is an independent MP. I sought to cure that, because if you apply the principle to the first one, and then you want to apply the same principle to the independent member of parliament, there's likely to be a problem. Because in that case, he came to parliament on an independent ticket. So what I said was that, additionally, a sub-clause reflecting features of the runner-up option above could be introduced to address the situation where the departed or resigned member of parliament entered parliament as an independent candidate. Now, it shall stipulate that, quote, without prejudice to Article 1125, the Electoral Commission shall, where the departed or resigned member of parliament entered parliament as an independent candidate, appoint the candidate who secured the second highest number of votes in the immediately preceding election to fulfill the...
Has this matter been discussed in Parliament before?
I think during my days hosting Eyewitness News, I remember speaking to the Honorable Peter McMenu, then chairman of the NPP, who takes the view that I take, or he took the view
at the
time.
I don't know if now he takes that.
and then also quickly, I think people have said that what I'm saying, which is to respond now to your question, would be undemocratic because people went to vote. Look, let's be blunt about this. What the Constitution says is lawful, nobody can say is unlawful. So if the Constitution says that yes, it is unlawful to kill somebody, but in some cases it is lawful to kill a person
because of maybe death penalty.
The Constitution is saying it.
The Constitution is right.
Exactly. So the Constitution doesn't do any wrong. Of course, there are people who doesn't agree to democratic principles.
But what are people who say that somebody can kill somebody so that he takes his position? So maybe I'm in a party with somebody and the person is MP and I mean the guy. So I orchestrate his killing so that they will appoint me as his replacement.
So you see, so other laws will intervene in this matter. So criminal law will intervene and say,
but you know that I killed the person.
See, so
they are saying that the election route is more complicated.
Yeah.
That if there are internal disagreements in the parties, they could find a way of eliminating an MP that they felt. So, for example, if an MP went rogue and they felt that this MP is voting against their side, they'll orchestrate his extinguishing and then they'll put a more pliable person in the seat. So what I'm saying is that the suggestions also have things that have to be discussed around it.
I wanted to just even add something so that you can wrap this up for me.
Yeah, go on.
Does your push to change the law, because that is what you are pushing, to reform the law, in the view of this, does it take into account, for instance, Kwekudia, the independent candidate who narrowly lost the last election? Okay, he was an independent candidate. Now, if you say the party that holds the seat should have the right to pick a successor minus a general by-election.
So Kwekudia is a second choice.
Yes, are you not taking away Kwekudia's right to
which is why he said there's an
the election?
Another proposal would be then make Kwekudia the MP.
No, you see,
because he was second in the last election.
So you see, that is why law is a beautiful thing. You understand? So the first one is a specific provision dealing with a member of parliament who came to power on the ticket of a political party. So when that member of parliament is dead or is resigns, right? The party that holds the seat, I'm using.
So the party holds the seat.
The party holds the seat. Technically, I'm using it loosely because it means more than that. That party shall appoint
a
successor.
Because they still hold the seat.
Exactly.
Because they won the election on the ticket of the party.
Of the party anyway.
Okay. So it is not enough. The passing away of the person who holds the seat does not warrant a recall.
It's a balancing act. Why we're sitting here saying that why should parties tell MPs where they should vote? Because it's the person voted for by the people by the party.
Exactly.
So it's the same tension. So the party ticket is what brought the person. So you can't distinguish the two. So he's saying that in the time where the person dies, because technically the person won the election on the ticket of the party, then you can ask the party to replace. But what happens when there's a
so then I said that when the person is an independent member of parliament, in that case, it doesn't belong to any political party. Then I propose that in that situation, what should happen is that the candidate who came second in the immediately preceding election should become the candidate to be elected or to be appointed by the Electoral Commission to go to parliament. So in this case, let's assume that the Honorable Baswa was the independent member of parliament for Kumewu constituency and Kwekudia came second. So by reason of the fact that he was an independent member of parliament, the new guy, Kwekuduya, immediately gets
so
appointed.
you have sort of thought about the complexity of whoever wins.
Yeah.
Well, look, these days Parliament is an open place. People can do private members bill.
And I said that if you look at the Constitution, Article 290 doesn't say that the provisions I was talking about were affected by the requirement of entrenched provisions.
So it's not entrenched. So it's possible to change
and amend it. And
maybe let's talk to some
interesting.
Yeah.
So the article is online, written by Richard Sky. When we come back, I'll play you some quick highlights of my interview with the resident rep of the IMF, Dr. Leandro Medina. Before that,
yes, a few announcements. The Electricity Company of Ghana is informing the general public, especially their customers, of the ongoing exercise to digitalize all ECG's assets and customer base in the Ashanti and Greater Accra regions. As part of the exercise, ECG teams have been deployed to customers' premises to capture their data, including customer ID, phone numbers, GPS code, and meter details, and also tag ECG transformers, poles, and meters with unique QR codes. Now, customers are advised to inspect the ID cards of teams, and if they are in doubt, call the project manager on 0249 106 118 in the Greater Accra region or 0249 110 996 in the Ashanti region for authentication of their IDs. ECG is using this opportunity to request the cooperation of all customers and the general public. Now, the same ECG is saying that
ECG has a lot to say today.
They have a lot to say. That they are working to tirelessly strengthen and maintain robust distribution network. That even though they are still doing that, massive rainstorms and stormy winds can usually cause trees to fall down, billboards and ripped roofing to fall on their conductors, resulting in outages. Now, these outages are caused by transient tripping on their feeders, and they are working to get all of those things fixed. Now, if you have any issues, call ECG on 0302 611 611 or visit the nearest ECG office or get to them on social at ECGGH official. Finally, ECG is gone cashless. So download the ECG Power app and you can do all kinds of amazing things. You can dial *226# if you don't have a smartphone, if you have a feature phone, to still access the ECG Power app for all transactions. Call 0302 611 611 for more details.
Now, are you getting good insights from your data for decision making? Join the data analytics revolution and empower your team to work smart, save time, and deliver insights from data using the world's most powerful business tools, Microsoft Excel and Power BI. Finance Skills Hub offers hands-on practical training to corporates and individuals in Excel for work, data analytics, and financial modeling to help you improve productivity at the office. Register at finexskillshub.com or call 0244 782 356 to sign up for our corporate and individual training sections. Finex Skills Hub, learn, connect, grow. And Standard Water has over 25 years experience in the provision of quality and refreshing water to quench your thirst. This refreshing water brand is available in all 11 regions, or in 11 regions of Ghana, and still expanding rapidly. Standard Water gives you sachet, bottle, dispenser mounted jar water, and customized water for your parties and other social occasions. For quality drinks, call 0202 055 703. That's 0202 055 703. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. This is the Citi Breakfast Show.
Unleashing the power of relevant radio. This is Citi 97.3.
The Electoral Commission says it expects political parties and candidates contesting in Tuesday's by-election at Kumewu to present polling agents who will comport themselves and also comply with laws governing the electoral process. The Commission is pledging to deliver transparent results in the by-election, but insists polling agents have a key role to play in making the process more credible. Political parties, especially the National Democratic Congress (NDC) and the New Patriotic Party (NPP), have wrapped up campaign activities at Kumewu after weeks of intensified effort to win the parliamentary seat. over 34,000 voters are expected to vote across 75 polling centers in the election. Ashanti Regional Director of the Electoral Commission, Benjamin Banobio, says the commission is ready to deliver a credible election. Let's go live to the Ashanti region and speak to our correspondent, Hafiz Tijani. Good afternoon to you, Hafiz. Many thanks for your time. Now, you have been speaking to the Electoral Commission. How prepared is the EC ahead of tomorrow's by-election?
So the Electoral Commission says it has deployed or dispatched all its electoral materials from the region to the Kumeu constituency, and they will be doing the distribution in the morning tomorrow so that all the centers can have their materials ready for the election. They have said that they have also made ready their agents who will be manning this election, and they have also made some engagements with the police to provide security to these officials who will be supervising the elections.
Earlier, when you spoke to the Electoral Commission, they mentioned why they had to use a hole for one of the independent candidates contesting in this by-election. What reasons were given by the Electoral Commission?
Well, briefly, Mr. Banobio, who is the Ashanti Regional Director of the Electoral Commission, says that the independent candidate was the last candidate to file his nomination on the close of nomination. So when he came with a logo that was similar to that of a first independent candidate who had filed already. So they insisted that he should have changed the symbol, but he also said he was not going to change the symbol. Then the commission says that there should be some engagement according to the electoral laws. The commission itself has the mandate to ensure they don't have similar or the same symbols of different candidates on one.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
6 minutes past 9. I'm taking you now to a few minutes of my interview with the IMF resident rep, Dr. Leandro Medina, unveiling the details of Ghana's latest IMF program. I remember on July 1 or July, I got a letter, we got a notice that Ghana was going for the IMF. That was a shock to us. Minister Ken had said we weren't going to go. And then by December, staff team had already finished their work and they said, yes, we would recommend to the board. How significant was that 5 months?
So I think you're absolutely right. Let me start from that the IMF received a formal request for support in early July, as you say. Since then, there have been a series of discussions in the context of missions to Accra, and also in the context of the IMF World Bank in Washington, D.C. And in December, what we call a staff-level agreement was reached. And this means an agreement between the Ghanaian authorities and the IMF staff. But to be able to go to the board, right, since December, the authorities need to take some policies and reforms that were agreed as part of the staff-level agreement. They need to start this process. And also, sufficient progress need to be made to make sure that debt is in a downward path, in a sustainable path. Recently, and this is very, very important, the official creditor committee for Ghana was formed in the context of the G20 Common Framework, co-chaired by China and France, and it provided the sufficient assurances needed to unlock our path to the executive board. And last week, more specifically last Wednesday, a 3-year facility was approved. It's the extended credit facility arrangement for $3 billion. And I'm pleased to say that a first disbursement of $600 million was made.
Oh, it's already been made.
It's been
so
made.
As of today, Monday, the money has already hit our account.
It should.
Wonderful. It's interesting to note that July, when the official request was made, and December, when Mr. Rude announced that they had come to some initial conclusions, 5 months. Then you have December to May, another 5 months, almost equal. Is that a coincidence, or is it significant to have 5 months between request and staff approval, 5 months between staff approval and board approval?
It really depends on each country.
Okay.
It depends on how fast the discussions progress. It depends on how fast agreement is reached on the policies and reforms that can be supported by the IMF. And then ultimately, it depends also, the second part that you mentioned, on how you met the different conditions and what is needed to take this request to the IMF Executive Board.
So can we say that the period between December and now depended largely on the creditor committee? I'm asking this because I do know that Zambia did struggle from when they started the process to getting their creditor committee to actually say, this is what we want to do. Indeed, I'm told it took 17 months, if not more. I'm told Sri Lanka probably took a bit more time than Ghana as well. So is this just by chance that for some countries it can drag that long?
I wouldn't comment on other countries. In the case of Ghana, essentially between December and now, it depended on the set of prior actions that needed to be completed before the board approval and the financing assurances that needed to be provided by the G20 common framework, which is also what is stated in our press release from December.
Wonderful. This is the 17th time we've come to the IMF in one shape or form. First, what type of program is this? It says 3 billion. You call it ECF. ECF as against which other F? Right, let's start from there.
So as you know, at the IMF, we have different type of facilities that depends on different things, on debt carrying capacity, the size of the country, the level of development. In this case, the extended credit facility is designed to provide support, medium-term support, to countries that face economic and financial difficulties. It is highly concessional, which means that the interest rate charged is 0.
Okay.
And the grace period is beyond 5 years.
Okay.
And also, it helps having like a catalytic role, for a foreign aid from other development partners and other multilateral organizations. In terms of the objectives that the authorities aim to reach with the support of the IMF, these are 3. First, restoring macroeconomic stability. Second, ensuring debt sustainability. And third, laying the ground for a higher and more inclusive growth. And this will be done, enacting a series of policies and reforms. For example, a large and front-loaded fiscal effort, while, of course, protecting the vulnerable, ambitious structural reforms, appropriately tight monetary policy, and flexible exchange rate. These are a few of the main measures.
Doc, so let's come to the timelines. We've received 600 million, but the program is worth 3 billion. It's a 3-year program. So can you walk us through? So what next and when? What are we going to? What's the timelines looking like?
So I would say that the program has already started to be implemented, and by the authorities, and some results have been shown already. For example, if we see the inflation, it has decreased from 54% in December to roughly 41% in April. In terms of the timeline and what's next, This is a program that is designed to have reviews every 6 months, which means that every 6 months we are expected to go to our IMF Executive Board for approval of a review, and that would unlock a disbursement. In terms of the next steps, the next review is expected to be completed in November this year.
I see. So this November will be where we would know if we'll get another tranche of the 3 billion. So after the review in November, you will know if you qualify for the next tranche.
I would say that once we take a review to the board and the board approves, that immediately triggers a disbursement.
Yeah. But do we know how the breakdown? So it's 600 million.
Correct.
And then it becomes 360 to the end.
Correct.
That's how it's supposed to be done. I see. Now, are there specific milestones tied to the timelines in terms of what do they need to see in November to approve the next tranche?
So the November review will be approved based on a test date that is end of June. So ultimately, all the conditionality and everything that you look at is going to be measured at end June. And this is what needs to be looked at to be able to go to the board in November.
And who is doing this measurement?
So it's everything in the documents that have been published in the staff report. And of course, we look at the data that we received from the authorities. It's a public document.
So what you're saying is that by June, all the sides will know if Ghana is on course or not. It shouldn't be surprising to either side.
I would say that it would be later probably than by June on some of the variables that take some time to be reported, but the test date is end June. So for example, if we look at primary balance, fiscal primary balance, right? It has a delay between the end June test date when we look at it and when it's published. But essentially that's the date, and the review looking at that date is expected to be completed by November.
So I'm looking in the document table 2, Ghana performance criteria indicative targets under the extended ECF. Performance criteria say net international reserves of the BOG cumulative change floor. You have the June performance criteria proposed.
Right.
So it's a number.
It's a number.
Wow. Are there degrees of freedom? So this number I see is negative 98.5. That's the number. So this is the number we are working with.
These are the numbers that we are going to be looking at when we go to the board in November.
Wow. I see Bank of Ghana claims on central government and public entities cumulative change ceiling 0. And that 0 is throughout. So within the program period,
I think
net.
If I may, I think we need to say a little bit about conditionality because conditionality focus on critical policy actions that need to be taken to reach the objectives of the program. Right? This is basically the background, and they mainly consist on 3 things: prior actions, numerical targets, and structural benchmarks. Prior actions need to be completed before approval. And we have some examples from the recent past in Ghana. For example, the revenue measures that were passed by Parliament, the memorandum signed by the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance on the zero financing of the budget by the BOG, the others related to energy prices, the publication of the COVID-19 audit report. So these are the prior action. Then we go into numerical targets that are usually a key macroeconomic indicators, variables that are under control of the authorities. And a few examples are net international reserves at the Bank of Ghana, the primary balance, external borrowing. And then there are the structural benchmarks. There are measures that need to be taken in the context of the program. An example is the strengthening of plans for strengthening the financial sector, or plans for bolster the energy sector.
Interesting. So the numerical targets are fixed, but the structural benchmarks, we could say, are actions that need to be taken to show a certain intended change.
By a certain date.
By a certain date. Wonderful. And the prior actions that we were told, the 3 new taxes was one, right? The 3 revenue measures.
The revenue measures that have been passed between December and April, this package of measures was one of the prior actions. Very important to mobilize revenue. As you know, revenue to GDP in Ghana is low compared to other countries, and Ghana is making a huge effort to increase revenue mobilization, and this will be done through not only policies but also through revenue administration, basically increasing the tax base.
Many people consider the 3 taxes, income tax, excise tax, and then the growth and sustainability tax, all started on 1st May. Then you had 2 rounds of tariff adjustments, close to 60%. At the same time, people feel like that's a lot of pressure on consumers at the same time, right? So you've front-loaded a tax adjustment, and then you've also increased tariffs within a very short period of time, in a time of high interest rates and inflation. All right? That's going to affect poor people. Yet you keep talking about social spending and poverty. So isn't that a contradiction? How do you ensure that these so-called targets and prior actions do not inimically affect the poor?
So on the fiscal front, what is important to say is that this is a large and front-loaded fiscal consolidation. One part is through a revenue mobilization. Another part is from improving the efficiency of expenditures, if you know what I mean. But this needs to be done for the reasons that you rightfully quote, in a way that you need to protect the most vulnerable. And this is done by making sure that the support, through the targeted program, not only is continued, but is enhanced.
So I do understand that, but I still want to push a bit on that. So are there some policies that are specifically pro-poor that the overall package would introduce to buffer those who will be hard done by? Because I insist that 3 new taxes, like for example, when you calculate the end price for most consumer goods, even before inflation, they are going up. Tariff adjustments, inevitably poor people will pay. So are we looking at things like LEAP, where you have direct interventions so that those who are poor can benefit? Does the fund insist on this, or is this within the remit of the World Bank?
Indeed, LEAP is one of the programs that within the envelope of the 2023 budget, the benefits have been doubled.
So that, so this is a World Bank program. Does it work together though?
We work together. So the way we interact with the World Bank and the African Development Bank is we usually look at the macro picture, we look at the envelopes, but then they have the experts that look at the poverty angle and the labor market angle, and we work together to be able to work consistently.
But who designs the overall ECF? I ask this because we haven't seen the Ghana government program, right? So is it the government submits a program to you, and then you look at the program and say, we agree? Or do you work with the government on a program? Or the Ghana government program is embedded in a framework that, how does this work?
I would say 2 things. First of all, as we discussed before, by December, we reached staff-level agreement. This means that Ghanaian authorities and IMF staff reached agreement on policies and reforms that can be supported by the IMF. So this is the context. Then on how the different policies are published, what I can say is that the same day of the board approval, last week, all the documents have been published at the IMF website. And these are important documents. We have the staff report, which is the main document. Then we have documents by authorities, which is the letter of intent and the memorandum of economic and financial policy. These are two very important documents. Then another document that has been published is the technical memorandum of understanding. And this, I think this relates to another question that you made. This document is specifically important because it tells you all the variables that we are going to be looking at. It tells you what are we measuring, what is included, what is excluded. So the technical memorandum of understanding is an important document. And also the debt sustainability analysis. So what I would really encourage your audience to go at the IMF website and to download all these documents that are publicly available.
I have in front of me the press release, staff report, statement by Executive Director for Ghana in 172 pages. So this is 3 of what you said together.
I think you have.
There's more.
You have this. You have the whole package.
So this report number 23, so 167.
I think it
has everything.
I think it's one PDF that has absolutely
everything.
Yeah.
So the press release is the announcement. Staff report is what Stefan and his team did, which formed the basis of the board's discussion. Statement by Executive Director for Ghana is what?
The statement by the Executive Director.
Is that you?
I think it's very important. When we talk about taking the documents for IMF board approval, is the board of the Executive Directors, which are the representative from all the countries that are part of the IMF. This is the body that ultimately approves the program and each review. And this is a statement from the Executive Director representing Ghana.
Wonderful.
At the board.
I see. For viewers, let me just read something in terms of approval team to help us. So approved by, discussions took place in Accra, September, in Washington, October, in Accra, December. Mission held discussions with Vice President Baumia, Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta, Governor of the Bank of Ghana and Stadison, other senior officials. Staff team comprised Mr. Rude, the man we just saw is the head, Miss Arellano Banoni, Mr. Rika, Mr. Sode, and Miss Wiriadanata, all AFR. We don't know what that means. Miss Ben Mohammed, Miss Khalid, Mr. Kogan, and Mr. Medina, which is you, and Mr. Hinakwa, local economist, and Mr. Akosa, OED participant. So it's a big team.
It's a big
team. That did the work. So you're saying it's a joint document. Because this team is who did, so this all of what we are seeing, all the names I've mentioned contributed to it.
It was prepared by the team.
So they all have to own it.
Absolutely.
Nobody can deny what's on the program. So did the team think about the fact that we are in the 3-year program is in the middle of an election year? Today is what do you call it, May 22. In 18 months, we have an election. And then the program will run till a year and a half after the election.
Correct.
Now, what we know with our, and I don't have the time to show this on the TV, but what we know with our what do you call it, our deficits, every year apart from 2004, in the past 30 years or 24 years, you have very high deficit in election years. And the deficit is one of the major benchmarks. So you thought about that. What are your concerns around that?
So I can tell you that we are quite confident on the strength of the program. And also we are confident that it will be implemented as designed. And this is because the actions are what is needed, right, is to restore a macroeconomic, situation to ensure that debt is back to a sustainable path, that we really have higher and more inclusive growth. And if you see, Ghanaians are really eager to see inflation go down, to see that the management of the fiscal account has improved, and to see more opportunities and much more growth. And I have to tell you, we have seen a very strong commitment from authorities that have really taken bold and very difficult policy actions.
Aren't you front-loading the fiscal adjustment because of this particular point, in the sense that in election years, people want the government to spend. There's pressure for roads. Governments will spend money to win votes. We do know this. It's not just a Ghana situation, right? So when you front-load, so sort of we've had a very difficult debt exchange, right? So is it that you are trying to do the difficult things in 2023, so you create space for them in 2024, for the election?
The way the program was designed is to deal with the crisis and to put a strong foundation, right, for the future. So these were the main motives, if you want, for a design like this. It's because it was needed, and from the get-go, 2023, it looked like a very, very difficult year.
I just want to understand if the 3 years is fixed. Let's assume there is a period or a milestone that's not met in the course of the program, and therefore the next tranche does not come. Does that automatically extend the program by 6 months?
I wouldn't like to speculate at this stage. I think the program was just approved last week, and major efforts were made for this, not only from the authorities, but also from the international community and from the Ghanaian people. So I would say that we should focus on that the program was approved. This is a major milestone, and then we are confident and optimistic.
9:31. That was Bernard Avle's conversation with the IMF country rep. They were speaking on the points of view from yesterday. Mr. Medina from Argentina. So I guess I need to call him Senor Medina. That's what he would like to be called. Anyway, this is still the Citi Breakfast Show. Send in your thoughts and comments on the number 0549986996. Now, earlier on the show, I've been reading this very interesting LPM from the people at BluePay. Every now and again, somebody will text me and say, Charlie, how does this BluePay thing work? And then I say, okay, you call the number. Or some people call, some people don't. But we've brought the people from BluePay here to come and explain how it works. Because some people own businesses and they tell me, Charlie, sometimes people come to pay. They say they've sent the money hasn't come. They are chasing people all over the place. So we've been joined by Tenu Awuno, he's founder and CEO of BluePay. We've got Fred Polly. Fred Polly is business development manager at BluePay as well. And we also have Raphael Fonikbo, who's also business development manager at BluePay. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the Citi Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
And appropriately, they are in their blue polos, except one who's in black.
I'm the black penguin.
You are the black penguin. I see. The blues. You are the blues. I see. Guys, great having you here. First question, what is BluePay and what products does BluePay offer?
Oh, okay. Thank you for the opportunity. I want to say in regards to all cherished listeners of Citi and all BluePay merchants as well. Yeah, so BluePay, we are a fintech company that provides services in the area of POS and in mobile money. So in our part, whereby we have one single device that accepts both cards, that's all cards and then mobile money. And when I say mobile money, it's not limited to just one network. This is where all the networks have been consolidated onto one platform.
I see.
So irrespective of whatever network that the person uses, you wouldn't have to now go for separate merchant SIMs of different networks. So this is all on one platform whereby you can receive all forms of payments.
I see.
And then with all your bank cards to international cards, you can also make payments. So basically, that's what BluePay offers.
I see. So I don't have to go and get Voda Cash, Momo,
Not at all.
everything works.
Everything.
Just to add to what Raphael was saying is that, yeah, so we are a fintech registered under the Bank of Ghana as a PSP.
Okay.
And we offer a wide array of service. So in addition to the POSs that we provide to businesses to accept both card and mobile money payments, we also offer USSD service. So if you want a USSD code, you can get it from us. The other service that we also provide that is quite interesting is for these social media entrepreneurs.
I see.
We have a product called the Payment Link. So with the Payment Link, we will provide a unique payment page to you yourself, directly your business, that you can paste on your social media page, either your Instagram or your Facebook page, that any of your customers can just click it, go to that dedicated page, and make a payment to you directly, either via card or mobile money. You can send that link to them via WhatsApp or just paste on your page. So you don't even need to create a website. So for all of you people that sell on Instagram and social media, we have a solution for you as well to receive payments.
Amazing stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and then just to add to what my partner said, he spoke about cards. Our cards, every card in this world, we accept it.
Every card?
Every card. So we are not limited to Visa, Master. Some of the we accept all cards.
I see.
So irrespective of where the card is coming from, you can actually transact on our POS.
Okay.
So even if the card is coming from Middle East, Europe, America, Canada, we give out Apple Pay, Google Pay, all the NFCs works on our POS.
I see. Let's talk a bit about the device, the POS device, because for businesses, it's a key part of what they do. Can anybody or any business apply and get a device from BluePay? And why should I pick one from BluePay and not pick one from the bank?
Yeah. Any business can apply from us. You get POS within 24 hours.
I see.
So the reason why you need to apply from us is that you don't want to miss sales. So that's our motto. No businessman wants to miss sales. You actually want to increase your sales, whereby we are helping you to increase your sales. You get it? So once you come on board, we process it for you within 24 hours. You get your POS, irrespective of the kind of business that you're doing. So whether it's a pub, it's a lunch, a pharmacy, I can't stop naming them. Filling stations,
all types of commercial entities.
Exactly. We don't discriminate. So once you come on board, we just set you up and you are good to go.
So just to add to what my colleague said, yes, all businesses are welcome. We service a variety of industries from pubs, pharmacies, bakeries, laundromats, any type of business. Interestingly, one of the businesses that have started using our devices as well are mobile money agents who are purchasing our POSs and using it to dispense cash. So if you're a Momo agent, they will get the BluePay card reader or POS from us, and they become something like an ATM. So customers can go to them, swipe their card, and then collect cash. It's become a business for mobile money agents. And this is something that we didn't set out to do, but just the ecosystem has just evolved that way. So all businesses are welcome, and you can receive a POS within 24 hours, whether you're a Makola trader, you are in to-do, no matter the type of business, you need it, because what you don't want to do is that you don't want to restrict your customers to just the cash in their pockets when they come to your business to buy something, right? You want access to their bank account as well. So you want to provide them with the POS.
You want to get where the money is.
Restrict them to just the cash in their pockets. Give them get access to their bank account so they can spend more when they come to your shop to spend. So get a pause from Blue Penguin.
I see. I was about to ask whether or not you can use that device to accept mobile money, but I guess in answering you have answered that. But the other question is whether or not customers will be charged e-levy when they use that method to pay.
So let me ask them too. So yes, you can use the device to accept. Actually, let me go back to that earlier question you asked where it said, why should you get one from us
versus the bank? Yes.
The advantage of getting one from BluePay is that we don't restrict you in terms of where the funds will settle, right? So if you get a POS from Blue Penguin, we will send the money to Bank A if you want. If tomorrow you're not happy with Bank A and you want it to go to Bank B, we'll send it to Bank B. That's it. So that is the flexibility to provide to. And also, you will own that device. So that device belongs to you, the merchant. We don't give you any, what do you call it, any targets or whatsoever that you have to meet. The device is yours. You own it for life, and you can use it anywhere you need to.
Just to add up to what my colleague said, we actually dedicate a special RM for you.
Okay.
So relationship manager.
Relationship manager.
Yes. So
for the uninitiated.
Exactly. So 24/7, he is working with you. Even if it's 1 a.m. and you have issues, you just call him, hey, Kweku, just come on board and sort this thing out for me.
I see.
He will just drive all over there and then sort it out for you. You also have a master portal, as in a login credential that comes with it from the back end, and then you actually monitor all your transactions that comes in live transactions.
Okay.
So
you can track both sales and payment data.
Exactly.
Wow. I see. So again, so in the same line, why should I do this and not that? Why should I get a Blue Pay or like a device from you instead of say a merchant SIM from any of the telcos?
Okay, so I think per my initial submissions, I made mention that if you'd want to get a merchant SIM from the telcos, that means you'd have to go to each telco and get their merchant SIM. But with ours, all has been consolidated onto one platform. So there's no need getting different merchant SIMs for your services. So irrespective of the person's network, you are able to accept money.
So one device that covers everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. So how can I register my business? I'm listening to you and I'm very excited. I want to get onto Blue Pay. How can I register to get Blue Pay?
Sorry, before we even get to that, you had asked the question of whether you can use mobile money. So with ours, the simplicity in it is that you don't have to dial any complicated USSD string and also put in the amount, etc. All you have to do is just ask the merchant to send you the Blue Pay prompt. Just request for the Blue Pay prompt, and you just enter your PIN. That's it. So most people have probably used this already at most of your favorite merchants.
They did not know.
And they did not realize. So, we are all over the country. We have merchants in Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, Tamale. So if you've ever gone to any of our merchant locations, such as KFC, Burger King, Allied Oil, Zen, ShopRite, Total, you get the Blue Pay prompt and you pay, and that's it. And usually we'll have the name of the business in the prompt, so you know who you are paying. So all you are inputting is the customer PIN.
I see.
So for customers, anytime you go somewhere, you don't want to go through the complicated process of sending mobile money, just ask them, send me the Blue Pay prompt.
Okay.
And then you make a payment.
Okay.
So we're already there.
You're already. A question popped up on my message board, but I think you kind of answered. Somebody was asking whether you accept eSwitch.
eSwitch, we accept all payments.
All payments.
All payments are accepted by us.
The other question was whether an individual can apply. Yes, you said everybody can apply. So how can people get in touch with you? Somebody is listening and they are interested. How can they get in touch?
Sure. So they can just call our number directly. Actually, one of the questions you asked was, how do we register?
Yes. How do I register?
So to register, you can go to our website, Blue Pay.
Okay.
Sorry, you can go to our website, bluepay.com.gh.
Okay. Can you just spell it for us?
BLUPAY.
Somebody will go and type BLUEP.
.gh. Exactly. So
without the E.
So just go to blupay.com.gh and just register there. All you need is your Ghana card and your TIN to register with us, and obviously which bank account you want us to settle your funds to, and we will set you up and you can get a POS from us directly. Or you can call our number 054 722 0200.
Okay.
Again, 054 722 0200. You can call or WhatsApp us on that number, and somebody will respond to you right away on that 054 722 0200. You can reach us 24/7. Somebody will respond to you. If not, leave a message and somebody will get back to you. But all the information is also available on our website directly, and you can just apply and register there directly to get Blue Pay for your business.
I see. Sounds great. Wonderful news for all businesses. So you heard the gentleman Tenu Awuno, he's founder and CEO of Blue Pay. He also had Fred Polly, business development manager, also at Blue Pay, and Raphael Fonikbro, a business development manager, and they all joined us to explain the wonderful things they are doing
I saw
at Blue Pay.
the question that one of your guys, somebody asked that can an individual register to start a POS business? And yes, they can. Individuals can register
I see.
to start a POS business where they can start dispensing cash to people. They come, they give their card a swipe, and obviously the agent will charge them a small fee.
Okay.
And so this becomes also an additional way for people to start working and get some sort of employment.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great.
It's like a mobile ATM.
Yeah, just like mobile ATM. Great. Tenu, Fred, Raphael, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, great stuff.
It's a pleasure.
All right. This is still the Citi Breakfast Show. We'll take a very, very quick break. When we come back, we have a few more things to do and we'll call it a morning. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Unleashing the power of relevant radio. This is Citi 97.3.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
Welcome back to The Point of View. Tonight is an IMF special. Resident rep for the IMF, Dr. Leandro Medina, is in studio. IMF uses resident rep. World Bank uses country director. I think it's the same thing. Now, Doc, so let's come to the timelines. We've received 600 million, but the program is worth 3 billion. It's a 3-year program. So can you walk us through, so what next and when? What are we going to... What's the timelines looking like?
So I would say that the program has already started to be implemented and by the authorities, and some results have been shown already. For example, if we see the inflation, it has decreased from 54% in December to roughly 41% in April. In terms of the timeline and what's next, this is a program that is designed to have reviews every 6 months, which means that every 6 months we are expected to go to our IMF Executive Board for approval of a review, and that would unlock a disbursement. In terms of the next steps, the next review is expected to be completed in November this year.
I see. So this November will be where we would know if we'll get another tranche of the 3 billion. So after the review in November, you know if you qualify for the next tranche.
I would say that once we take a review to the board and the board approves, that immediately triggers a disbursement.
But do we know how the breakdown? So it's 600 million.
Correct.
And then it becomes 360 to the end.
Correct.
That's how it's supposed to be done. I see. Now, are there specific milestones tied to the timelines in terms of what do they need to see in November to approve the next tranche?
So the November review will be approved based on a test date that is end of June. So ultimately, all the conditionality and everything that you look at is going to be measured at end June. And this is what needs to be looked at to be able to go to the board in November.
And who is doing this measurement?
So it's everything in the documents that have been published in the staff report. And of course, we look at the data that we received from the authorities. It's a public document.
So what you're saying is that by June, all the sides will know if Ghana is on course or not. It shouldn't be surprising to either side.
I would say that it would be later probably than by June on some of the variables that take some time to be reported. but the test date is end June. So, for example, if we look at primary balance, fiscal primary balance, right? It has a delay between the end June test date when we look at it and when it's published. But essentially, that's the date, and the review, looking at that date, is expected to be completed by November.
So I'm looking in the document table 2, Ghana Performance Criteria Indicative Target. I'm going to go to Kumewu for a brief touch base, but before that, Airtel Tigo is announcing to cherished customers that all unregistered SIMs will be permanently disconnected effective 31st May 2023 in line with NCS directive. So customers who are yet to complete their registration of SIMs are entreated to visit the nearest Airtel Tigo shop immediately with their Ghana card to avoid permanently losing their numbers. You'll even get 5 gig free data instantly after you register your SIM. All right, so Hafiz Tijani is our correspondent in the Ashanti region. He's joining us from Kumewu. Early days yet. We don't know if voting has started, but we are hearing there are some issues that are concerning. Hafiz, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
What on earth is going on at Kumewu?
Bernard, Kumewu voting has started since 7 a.m. and we have been going to the various polling centers. The voting has been peaceful so far. Security has been intensified and the police officers are patrolling one polling station to the other, and everyone is comporting themselves in terms of the voters and the polling agents. We are at the Oyoko Methodist polling center, one of the polling centers here in the constituency, and the NDC is raising some concern. They say they have detected some signed declaration forms that the pink sheet has been signed by both the agents of the NDC and the MPP, which they say is not supposed to be so because the process has not ended and the sheets have been signed. I'm getting through to speak to the former MC for the Asakore Mampong, who is part of the NDC monitoring team, to tell us what he has found. Let's listen to him.
Your name and sign. So why are you allowing an agent to declare an empty sheet? That in itself is wrong. I have never seen anywhere in the world where you are going for elections, before the even voting close, you've asked agents to declare and sign that they are okay with the vote. So we had a hint. It's not here only. Other places they attempted to do so. Same. So we've sent a signal that none of our agents should append a signature to any of the pink sheets. So apart from here, this is A. We have 3 polling stations. There is another one at the top. I went there. And strangely, I met an ignorant EC officer who claimed to come from the National, asking one of my agents to write his name. I said, for what? He said, oh, let him write his name. He's not going to sign. After the elections, he will sign. I said, does it make sense to you? How many minutes does it take to write my name? And how many minutes does it take to sign? And you're asking our agents to write their name, then when it is time, they sign. I said, no. Then he insisted he's coming from Accra. I said, Accra, is it a sea or is a bush? We're all coming from Accra. And we're all using the same law. So the fact that you are an EC officer does not mean that you know the law better than some of us. Back to signing.
Okay, so Bernard, these are the allegations that the MPP the NDC is putting across. We are working to get the EC to officially respond to this, but as it stands now, we had the NDC coming here, the MPP also coming here to get the Electoral Commission to rectify the issue. But the Electoral Commission regional director is also going around the other polling centers, and we are told he'll be here to listen to the various concerns. Yes,
beyond the concern raised by this official that you just articulated, what is the ground looking like? We are told Kumewu is an MPP stronghold, but one of the independent candidates did very well in the previous election, and he may pull a surprise. What are the dynamics saying?
Okay, so this is Kokudia. He, in 2019, tried to contest in the primaries, but for some reasons, he was not happy with some of the processes, so he chose to go independent and contested as an independent parliamentary candidate in the 2020 election. He made some inroads. He had over 39% of the vote cast during the 2020 election. And he is contesting in this election again. And many are seeing him as someone who can make a mark in this by-election because he has been in touch with the community. He's well known in communities and areas within the Kumeru constituency. And that is playing the dynamics. And the NDC is also not giving any chance to the seat. They say they want to also snatch the seat from the MPP. And the MPP says it is also bent on retaining the Kumeru seat.
So it looks like the stronger candidate between the NDC and the independent is actually the independent candidate. And that the person to challenge the MPP is actually Mr. Dua, not Amankwa.
Yes, so in 2020, when you look at the 2020 results, parliamentary results for the Kumeru constituency, this independent candidate came second after the late Baswa. So this guy also, Kokudia, is known very well in the constituency. Though the candidate the NDC presented now, the NDC says that he's also a community boy. He hails from Bodumase. So interestingly, Bernard, the MPP candidate, Yao Enim, the NDC candidate, Kwesi Amankwa, and Kokudia all hail from Bodumase, one of the communities, popular communities here in the constituency. So people are timing this election as Bodumase election because all of the candidates are coming from Bodumase. But the independent candidate, in terms of popularity, is more popular than the NDC candidate so far.
Which national figures are we seeing there in terms of both MPP and NDC? Because usually by-elections would have a lot of MPs and officials from Accra descend on the town. Is that the same with what's happening in Kumeru today?
Exactly. From Saturday or from Friday, if I should say, a lot of figures have been here. Some have left, some are still in the constituency, aiding their various political parties. I'm just spotting Mr. Alex Mood, the former boss of the GMPC, who just asked about you. And I have seen also Betty Modi Drisu also here. And both current and former executives of the MPP are also here. I have seen also the member of parliament for the member of parliament for Sanergo, ABF Husseini, who was campaigning days ago in the constituency. So a number of both MPP national executives also are also here. We have the general secretary of the MPP, JFK, as is popularly called, Justin Kodia, and we have other executives from the MPP national executives also.
We'll be coming back to you throughout the day for updates. Thank you very much, Hafiz Tijani, our Ashanti regional correspondent, reporting from Kumeru. So it started. What you said has started. It has started. It has started. But it started. But we'll see. We'll see how the thing goes. We will be doing live TV reports from around 4 p.m. Of the Kumeru election as we bring listeners the results of the election.
Well, yeah, to other things, Pepsodent is recommended by the Ghana Dental Association, and they say that every time we eat, food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to tooth decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath. Now, Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives your teeth the protection they need, giving you 10 times stronger teeth. Pepsodent, every smile matters.
Yes, please.
Now, Old Mutual Ghana is 10 years old.
Great things.
Yes, do great things every day. Now, here are some facts. They are the first insurance brand to introduce WhatsApp insurance and an annuity package. They have a prompt claims payment policy, and they've been processing claims promptly for about 10 years. They are big people. Call them on 0501 579 204 or visit oldmutual.com.gh for more info. Old Mutual, do great things every day.
I have a question for Sky.
Yeah, what happened?
Charlie, he has some birthday picture he released. He's wearing some, the suit that the Japanese King Akihito, they wear, that suit with golden buttons. Yeah. Where he shaved his head, where he lived a beard. Where he wear, he removed the ganku. I want you to release that picture.
I've seen it.
He released some birthday picture, Charlie. It's serious, Sky likes wearing mask.
And he has closed the neck.
I want you to produce the picture, make us see. Charlie, some like the Japanese suit. Yeah. No, so I want you to look at it.
Let us look at it.
Did you do a birthday photo shoot?
But we know who did the birthday photo shoot.
Who is that?
Napo.
Oh no, Napo is a big man. Napo is a big man. Charlie. Let me see. This is Emperor Hirohito.
This is Togwe Richard Sky.
Were you like buttoning your shirt?
Yeah, I was there. It's part of the pose,
It's part of this was when you were dressing for the law school. the law team.
But why is that the lawyers, they always want to dress like this? It's like Salison dress code, though.
No, but the golden,
is it a dress code?
The golden button, is it legal in the law? The golden button. Is it a bit flashy?
There's no problem.
You're saying it's a bit flashy. Have you seen the lawyers these days?
No, the issue is that you should wear dark, suit.
The lawyers are the reasons why we can't afford coat in this town.
So what are you thinking about?
I was thinking about you.
No, this guy is a big man. Kwe! And they say kwe. City News at 10 coming up next. My name is Benadable. I run the show with the team: Nathan Kwao, Richard Delaskai, Godfred Akotobuafu. Caleb Kuda is here with City News at 10, and he's getting ready to bring us the report. All right, so Caleb, good morning.
Good morning, Bernard. In the news, voting has started.